Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing this wonderful Saturday? It's 8 a.m., and I have a wonderful guest here with me. I have Coach Nicole. Have you met her before? Well, let me introduce you. She's pretty awesome. Good morning, Coach Nicole.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm chiming in from Grayskull.
By the power of Grayskull, she's going to be here and have a good time.
I have the power.
So I was a nerd when I was a kid, and I had a little black and white TV in my bedroom, little 12-inch black and white TV, and I'd get home from kindergarten, and I would wait and wait and wait for that to come on. I'd have to watch like the 700 Club, which was like the world's most boring TV show ever, and then I would watch like Green Acres.
Oh my God. Green Acres is a place for me. A farm living.
Yes, it was so, and like that was an entertaining show. And then He-Man would come on, so I turn it up real loud so my mom would think I was turning into He-Man, because that's the way it works.
You would rotate between He-Man and Gem.
I liked like that and Thundercats and
Oh yeah.
Mask and
Heathcliff.
GoBots, which was like, the poor Transformers.
I remember GoBots. Yeah.
Mhm. We've got a lot of great people here today. Christian Delorme is here. John Guggenhan is here.
Whoop.
Jackie is listening but door dashing.
Oh, cool.
Keep your eyes on the road, Jackie. Uncle Big Guy is here. Maitreya is here. We're having dinner, or guess it's dinner next Thursday with her. That'll be fun. Darth Carnivore is here. Good
What's
morning,
up, man?
everybody. Good morning, everybody. We've got looks like Aaron's here, or is that Christy, or I get that
I don't
she
know.
changed her name.
Flash it on the screen. It's probably Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yes, Aaron.
You need to change it back, okay? I don't have the mental fortitude to keep all these names straight.
It's too the name is too long. That's why I
Gluten-free.
changed mine, shortened it.
And let's see who
Michelle's here. What's up, Michelle?
all right. Regina's
Regina.
here. SD Bradley is here. So for all of the people in this chat that are not familiar with who you are, do you want to kind of give a high-level overview of kind of like what got you started down the path of being a health coach, keto, low carb, the health space in general? Because I don't think you're keto necessarily, but you're in the low carb sphere anyway.
Yeah, I'm like in between keto most days. Sometimes I typically don't go over 50 grams of carbs. Usually I stay 50 or under, but sometimes, go a little buck wild and you go a little bit over 50.
Yeah.
But yeah, so high level, my what I don't even know where to start. So it was a lifelong journey. So I'm in my mid 40s now. So it started when I was a kid, and I'm not going to go through my whole story, but my brother passed away. So if you've been following me for a long time, most of you already know that. So my brother passed away when I was a kid, and I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. My parents just lost a son, so they were grieving. And so I was kind of left alone. Unfortunately, it's kind of what happens a lot of the times. And I've always had a sweet tooth. I always loved the chocolate. I was able to get away with it because back in the 80s, there was no internet, there was no cell phones, so we were outside playing until all hours of the night. So I was able to outwork my junky diet. But I turned to food. I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time, but looking back, I turned to food, and it got to the point where I would have binge eating tendencies. I wouldn't say I was full blown binge eater, but I did have those tendencies to where I didn't have an off switch. But that's kind of where it stemmed from for me. So when I got out of the military in 2016, I didn't have the structure, someone telling me to run, work out, and be somewhere at a specific time. So I started to slowly gain weight. So at my heaviest, I was about 200 pounds, and I'm 5 feet short. So it's almost 100 pounds overweight, like 80 something pounds overweight. So it was a lot of extra weight for me to carry around. I had sleep apnea because of my weight. I had high blood pressure. I had chronic inflammation. I had all sorts of issues because of my weight. So when the pandemic happened, I was furloughed. If you don't know what furloughed means, essentially you're like laid off with pay from the federal government. So the federal government shut down, the world shut down. So I was furloughed. So I was a professional athlete, right? I was still getting paid, and the CrossFit owner of the gym I was going to had a garage gym, so I would just work out. So while everyone else, or where a lot of people were, gaining weight, that's where my weight loss truly started, but it wasn't necessarily healthy. I was working out 1, 2 hours a day because I had nothing better to do. Nothing was open. And I just slashed my intake in half. I think I was still vegan at that point, actually. But I slashed my intake in half. So while I lost 50 pounds doing that, it wasn't necessarily a healthiest thing. But through that process, I realized there's no one in the space, in the nutrition space, or even fitness space, working with obese clients. I was obese, who have been obese themselves, because I was never obese. I was always, the six pack abs. I was always the athlete until I wasn't. But there's no one in this space. If I sought help, and I've talked to nutritionists, they weren't obese themselves, so they didn't understand, and I felt like there was a gap. So that's initially what sparked my interest in getting educated outside of helping me continue to lose weight. Was I wanted to fill that gap of working with obese clients because I myself was obese. So that's kind of like the long and the short of what sparked my kind of journey to weight loss and this way of eating, and kind of how that led me to where I am now. So I'm about 65, 70, probably about 70 pounds down at this point. So I have maybe about 15, 20 more to go. So my goal is to get there by summertime. By the start of summer, I want to drop the rest of this weight.
Oh, it's interesting. That's one of those things. I think you bring up the idea that a lot of these nutritionists, a lot of these health coaches, a lot of people were never heavy themselves, and they don't have kind of that empathy to those of us who have been big,
Mhm.
or that, especially people, that have yo-yoed their entire life. They're always
Yep.
up 50, down 20, up 50, down 10. They look at that and they just kind of go, well, it's easy for me.
Yeah.
Why isn't it easy for you?
Or put the fork down or stop eating. I don't understand, but there's a lot of emotion involved, and if you've never struggled with that, I had a conversation. I think a good example of this would be, I was at a networking event, so I own my own business. So I was at a networking event, and I had this long conversation, after the event. He was a prior Marine, I was prior Air Force, so of course we were knocking on each other. But he was like, I don't understand, why were you obese? Why I don't understand why people do that. Just stop eating or whatever. So there are people who truly don't understand and don't get it if you've never struggled with that. There is an emotional component to it. Unfortunately, a lot of us turn to food, myself included, to deal with usually a trauma or something that happened in childhood, to fill that void, because it's instant gratification. It makes you feel good in that moment. But if you've never struggled with that, you don't understand. So if you're working with an obese client, there's usually an underlying emotional component, um, and it's hard for them to understand if they themselves have never struggled with it. So that to me was very eye-opening, that he blatantly couldn't understand why I was eating my feelings and why I became obese and why other people become obese. Like that, those are the things he was saying. Just stop eating, just eat 3 meals a day, just put the fork down. I don't understand. And I got that a lot too. So yeah, it's hard for people to understand.
I think for me, like, this is kind of one of those like journeys that I'm even learning things like more and more as I go. So, like, the more I think about things, the more I think about my own past. Like, my mom had her own struggles, and she was a big woman my entire life. And I guess, even looking back at pictures from her from, the 60s, she was born in 55. Even looking at photos of her, she was what would be considered like fat then.
Mhm.
Probably not anywhere near now, but then there was obviously that component then. And then you look at photos, and then, as I remember her as a kid, and then, all the things that she went through into the end of her life, Like, I remember as a kid, I think she had us eat her feelings.
That's
So, like,
interesting.
she put that on my brother and I think there was a component there that she was worried that we wouldn't get enough because we were very low income and all that stuff, and I think, she had her own struggles and mental issues, I think, and that was a food related thing, and then that kinda got unknowingly put on my brother and I, because my brother and I are both have always struggled with weight. I mean, it's one of those things, it's a learned behavior. My mom would eat her feelings, then she would feed us. And I think that there was a component there. She wanted to make sure we had enough, we weren't going without. So there's that. So we would always have more to eat than we probably should have had. And then obviously with the poverty line, the poverty aspect of it as well, there was a lot of cheap food, hyper palatable food. I remember shopping at Aldi's when I was a kid before it was the bougie place that it is now, you know. But I mean, it's just little things like that kind of come to mind when we talk about this type of stuff, because you and I have talked before. You and I have talked about and had conversations about other creators uh, in the space that talk about things that apply to them, like adding in fruit and honey and things to their lifestyle, and it works for them because they're hyperactive, where a lot of us on my side of the things are, coming in from the weight loss, the obesity, the high obesity, the morbidly obese people coming in. We're not hyperactive. We're not we're not out surfing 8 hours a day. I mean, we're lucky to walk 4,000 steps a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just a lot of that in there. And I think there's that big disconnect, like you're saying, where, just put the fork down. Like, there's family and, in our thing that would be like, you just need to do less of this
Yeah.
and more of this.
Yeah.
Like that helps.
Yeah. And a lot of people talk about adding stuff in and all that, and, you know, I add stuff in. I was 0 carb for not very long because I didn't have as much healing to do, and I did all of my emotional healing through therapy and all that before I even started this low carb journey, so I was in a different spot than a lot of people, coming here. Because again, mine, I'm 44 this year, and mine started at 11, so I have all these years of self-work. But I think where a lot of people go, I don't wanna say go wrong, but if someone says, "Well, Nicole, just add carbs in if you don't think you can do this, like, for, 0 carb the rest of your life." Cool, I was in a different spot, I was able to do that, but a lot of people are coming to this from, I wouldn't say disordered eating, various levels, various, points of the spectrum, and I always say I'm a big proponent of adding stuff in, especially if you can't do 0 for the rest of your life. I'm like, whatever's sustainable lifelong, do that. As long as you feel good and you're healthy, do that. But be careful not to add stuff back in if it's gonna start triggering cravings and do all that. Like, make sure you're healed first, mentally and emotionally, not just physically, because most of it's mental and emotional before adding certain things in. So if eating honey or a pineapple is gonna start triggering those cravings for sweets, then I always say don't add those in yet until you are completely healed and then start adding stuff back in. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, especially, the creators and the people on YouTube who unfortunately it's a dumpster fire, the health and wellness space all over social media. And I think that's where a lot of times that candid advice goes wrong. And I hate candid advice. Increase your fats, take electrolytes, do this, do that, because it doesn't apply to everyone. And people try to do that stuff and it doesn't work for them and it does more harm than good. So I always say if you want to add carbs in, I'm all for it, but make sure you're healed first and make sure it doesn't lead down a slippery slope of reverting back to what you're trying to reverse.
And it comes with a lot of self-discovery too. I mean, there has to be a lot of self-understanding, self-discovery for me. Like when we started, we didn't luckily have a lot of options for cheat stuff. Like, we didn't have a lot of options for like keto branded items when we started. So That's, I mean, only been the last couple of years has that really been prevalent in the market. You can go to Walmart and they have a whole aisle of stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Multiple aisles. Like you can go there, and there's two sections of the store where you can buy stuff.
Yeah.
You have the health food side or whatever, and then you've got like the regular aisles with the keto bread and the buns, and and those are great for people who are at a certain place where that's not going to necessarily impact them, or for people who are just trying to cut back on carbs, or there's a lot of benefits to these products, but there's a lot of hidden dangers in these
Yeah.
products as well that that we try to illuminate. But I think for us, and I think I said something about this last night on Sana's live. Like, I've come to the understanding that I am not a moderator, so I can't have things in the house, and like I can't just go, oh, I'm going to have a pack of Oreos in the house, and I'm going to eat 2 Oreos 2 times a week. That's not how I work. But at the same time, I'm also not fully able to abstain from all of those things either. Not like necessarily Oreos or whatever, but we will still go out and plan things and go out to dinner for birthdays and maybe have sushi or things. I mean, there are things that we go out and we are able to add into our diet. Like I went to the movies the other night and had some popcorn.
Mm.
And, that was fine. Diet soda, some popcorn. It didn't really impact me like maybe it would have, 5 years ago. So there's growth, there's healing involved. I mean, a lot of things that we've talked about already. So there was a question, I highlighted a question here from John. He says, Nicole, where are you originally from?
I am a Jersey girl, so my family's still in New Jersey. I'm in Northern Virginia with my husband. We live just about 20 miles outside of Washington, D.C., but yeah, I'm originally from New Jersey, just on the other side of Philadelphia. So
You live
Eagles
near my
fan,
cousin.
Phillies fan, Philly fan through and through.
You don't live my cousin, her husband and kids live in the they live in the Virginia area. Like he would commute. I think he works for Fox News now.
Oh,
He used to work for the guy that died, the 700 Club guy.
so wait,
Weirdly
he
enough,
works in DC?
yeah.
So he probably lives in the county I work. So I live in Fairfax County, so he probably lives somewhere in
I think they live a little bit further out. They have like a house kind of in the sticky sticks, but
Oh,
so I think his commute's like an hour plus
gross.
if he has to go in. I think a lot of his stuff is remote because he's video editing. So, but yeah,
Gotcha.
they live in that area. I haven't had a chance to visit them, so hopefully I'll get a chance to go out there one of these days because I want to go. One of my and totally off topic from the day, but one of the things that I have a bucket list is to see a band called Clutch at the 930 Club.
Is that in DC? I don't know what that
Mhm,
is.
mhm.
You said a lot of words.
Yeah, that's a club in DC.
Gotcha. Well, if you come here, you gotta stop. You gotta stop by because you'll be in my neck of the woods, as they say.
All right. And we've got some other people in here. Jackie says another keto shorty, which I think she's taller than 5 foot though. I don't I
Who,
not by much.
Jackie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you might be shorter than her.
I'm shorter than a lot of people.
I didn't know you were only 5 feet. That's like that's like this. That's my beard. 5 feet.
Dude, one of the last times I went home, I stayed in a hotel because when I went in the military, my dad kind of took away my room and transformed it into something else. So it's either that or the couch. So I crashed at a hotel. And the hotel I was staying at, there was a bunch of short people walking around. I don't know what's PC anymore because the words changed, but there were a bunch
Mhm.
of short people walking around. I was like, what's going on? Like, I'm taller than everyone in this hotel. They were, what do you call it? Not I don't even know what to call them anymore, but it turns out there was a short person of America convention. I'm not even kidding, at this hotel and at the front desk, and they were everywhere. So I called my husband. I was like, I have to go in hiding. I'm afraid they're going to recruit me.
They're gonna make you their leader.
They're going to make me their short person of America leader, the
Start getting
leader of
called
the
tall.
Northern Virginia area.
I was in Vegas one time, and there was a little. this is what they called it at the time. I don't know if it's I honestly like you. I don't know what things shift and change, but at the time they told us that they were in town for a little people basketball league
Oh,
because there was like a guy playing poker with us, and all like these girls were hanging out, and they were all little people. That's what they were.
mhm.
That's what they called themselves at the time. I don't know if it's still the same now, but
Yeah, I don't
that's what they
know.
called themselves at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all right.
Don't recruit me.
Just Jason is here. Sherry on a low carb journey is here. I actually got to meet her last week. That was pretty fun. As there was a keto meetup in Columbus, Ohio that I went to.
Oh,
Dark Horse Nutrition is here.
that's me.
Oh, that's you.
I have a stream into my Facebook.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Like I said, it's hard to keep things straight sometimes. If
Yeah.
whatever reason, my Facebook failed. So
Oh, you
okay,
always have to reconnect it. I don't know why it keeps getting disconnected, but John over here, I don't know how he knew I was from New Jersey. I don't know. I don't have an accent anymore. My parents do. They still say "wooder" and all that stuff,
Scooter.
but I've been gone for so long. But he's a Giants fan, and he said he's required to hate the Eagles. So we're already not off on the right foot, John. We're actually going to be frenemies.
And Mary says there's no way that she could eat honey.
Yeah.
We never had honey as a kid. I remember my mom used to make honey and mix honey and peanut butter together and make sandwiches.
I used to make peanut butter and butter sandwiches.
Oh, I do that now still. I can get low carb peanut butter, like the no sugar added peanut
Mhm.
butter, mix a bunch of butter in that, put it on a chaffle. Mm-hmm.
People think I'm weird. My dad got me into that before, that's when I weaned off the fluffernutter. The
That sounds like
plastic
it's the wrong
marshmallow.
time of day to talk about.
Well, I was a latchkey kid, so, I mean, what do? You make cereal and, plastic marshmallow and peanut butter sandwiches.
Well, I don't think I ever had any of that. It might have been an East Coast thing.
Oh, maybe. We have all the junky foods.
Let's see. And then Sherry said that she's had years of binging on candy and chips, so she gets where we're coming from.
Yeah.
And Regina says that I'm on carnivore since 3 weeks. I'm thinking to add some strawberries, but a bit scared, and if I will be triggered by sugar again. And
Honestly, I don't know where you're coming from, but 3 weeks is not a lot of time. You're not
right.
even adjusted to carnivore at this point, so I wouldn't add it this soon in. I would at least give it a few months before starting to reintroduce things. Like I said, I don't know where you're coming from in your journey. I don't know what your diet and lifestyle looked like before, but, honestly, Regina, I would give it at least 60, 90 days, hopefully at least closer to the 90-day mark before you start reintroducing some things.
And Maitreya says she can moderate some things and not others, keto or not. And that's kind of where we are, like with Chandra and I, like the things that we can't moderate, we don't bring into the house
Mhm.
unless it's like something we're going to review. Because I mean, typically most keto treats, snacks, and that kind of thing, you're not going to be able to moderate them very well. Because like if I buy a pack of Quest bars, I'm going to eat a pack of Quest bars. So I just got to know myself, and and that's like if we do go out to dinner or we do go out for like something that's off plan. I mean, we're planning for that.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of accidental things. I mean, it happens to us from time to time. Emotional things will pop up, and that takes hold, and we just kind of go for something to make us feel better short term. And that's still a struggle. I don't think that really ever goes away. Maybe.
Yeah. I have so I did a live with Coach Nat, Coach Bronson's better half. They actually live across the street from me. I bumped into Coach Nat when I was leaving the gym and she was entering the gym
Mhm.
last week. But we actually talked about this because we both work with food addiction and emotional eating with our clients. We we kind of both sides of the spectrum when it comes to, do we believe once an addict, always an addict type thing? And that's kind of like the mindset you were just talking about. So that's why I like to say I'm not a binge eater. I have binge eating tendencies because I no longer binge eat, but the tendencies are still there. So I think it's just behavior change and rewiring your brain, which takes a long time and a lot of work and effort. But I think you can retrain and change your behaviors and reprogram your behaviors and brain to where you no longer binge eat. But I think the tendencies will likely be there, but it's just you can't control how your body responds to things because it's hormonal, it's physiological, it's just how your body responds to things, but you can control how you physically, behaviorally respond to things. And that's why I don't think you're necessarily always an addict. I think the tendencies just don't go away. It's just learning how to deal with it and change your behavior and change the way you respond.
I mean, and that's the thing, and I've kind of found things that trigger me. Like sometimes, I mean, it's not always this. It's sometimes the silliest things will trigger like an emotional response. And I've talked about it before, but there was a day where I was at the grocery store and I had a bad. It was just an irritating thing for me. It was a self checkout thing, and it took me like an hour to use self checkout because they had just installed them like that week. And like I would scan something and it would go down and come back, and it was irritating. And then I get out and I was like very frustrated, and I was tired too. So I was tired. It was like at the end of the night. I wanted to go home. I was like, I was upset because the fact that it shouldn't have taken that long. They should have opened up a line if they're having issues and let us come through, and it's stupid first world issues, but I was out in the parking lot putting the groceries in the back, and then there was like a McDonald's right there, and I had like this overwhelming urge to go through the drive-through and get food from McDonald's. And I was talking with Chandra about it. I was texting her about it, and she's like, that's not going to make you feel better.
Mhm.
So, we bounce it back. But it was kind of an eye-opening thing because one, it made me feel stupid that I was so upset about a self-checkout thing at the grocery store. And then it was eye-opening because then that thing that made me upset then pointed to McDonald's. And I'm like, that's so weird. Because I mean, those are the kind of things that happen. It was obviously a thing that would happen when I was a smoker, like 15 years ago. Like, when you're I don't know if you were ever a smoker or whatever, but
Yeah.
as a smoker, your body kind of starts to produce this. This is not scientific. This is just kind of like my take on it is when you're a smoker, your body will overstress yourself. It'll make you feel like you're stressed out over the smallest things so that you will then go, screw this, I'm going to go have a cigarette.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
It's
like,
It's like, yeah, because it's a stressor, right? Because we have a first world problem right now to where our dishwasher is broken. Now we have to wash by hand, and it sucks. So but the dishwasher man, it's a sensor. It couldn't pull the dishwasher out because the person, whatever, they installed the dishwasher wonky. So my uncle, who lives in New Jersey, told us to get a hammer and chisel and just get the nail out. So you give Nicole a hammer, I can fix anything. So we got the dishwasher out. So they're coming this morning to hopefully fix it because we have a sink full of dishes and I don't want to wash them. But those are all stressors. So when I talk about emotional eating, I'm talking about all of those things. It's all emotional. It's all an emotion, and I can get into the difference between emotional and feelings, but I don't think that's necessary. But when you respond to something like that, most people have the cravings and get hungrier than usual and bottomless pit and all that. Some people and others, I had clients like this who have their hunger suppressed, which doesn't, it's not as common as the triggers. So like your blood sugar, your glucose is spiked, your adrenaline is pumping through your brain, your veins, your blood. And when all that happens, it triggers your appetite controlling hormones, your ghrelin, your leptin. There's more to it than that, but those two specifically, and that's where those cravings of fatty, sugary, salty. When I'm talking fatty, I'm talking like the oils and like the trans fat crap. Where if you put like carbs and fats together, that's what gives them the addictive quality. But I'm not talking steak. I'm talking the trans fats
right.
and the yeah. So that's what gives those cravings. It's because your body is stressed and thinks it's under a threat. So it's responding. It's giving you instant energy, which is the sugar and all that. And that's pumping through your veins. It's released, your stores. So once your glycogen stores, your sugar and the fat stores and all that's released, that's what gives you those cravings. So your ghrelin, your hunger controlling hormone, is elevated. So that's what gives you the, oh my God, I'm hungry. And then your leptin, your fuel gauge, is decreased. So you're eating like 10 Big Macs. So that's like on a super quick, basic level on why people have cravings when you're under a stress or whatever emotional. and why you crave the things you crave. It's because your body perceives a threat, physical, emotional, mental, it doesn't matter. Your body receives a threat, perceives a threat. So now it's releasing your sugar and your fat through your blood, adrenaline's pumping, all these things are happening, and that's what triggers those cravings because your body wants more energy to neutralize the threat, and that's a type of energy your body, right? We fat burners or sugar burners, so that's what's pumping through your blood in that moment. So it might seem minimal that you're in the checkout line, you're getting super stressed or whatever, but even little things like that doesn't matter. It still triggers a response, and that's what triggers those cravings for those specific foods.
And on all the times you give in, then you're getting on. Then after you give into that food, you give into that food, and you get that dopamine hit, and then that becomes even more addictive,
Mhm,
and it becomes a self-fulfilling
mhm.
prophecy, kind of like cigarettes, right?
Yeah,
So,
and then
like,
your blood sugar crashes, and now you're playing the blood sugar game to where you need to eat more and more and more to keep that feeling and that high going.
oh yeah, I mean, it's kind of such it's such a strange thing to kind of really get to take a step back and get a good look at what happens, and then self-analyze to a degree, like, okay, and you can, I mean, and it's easy to judge yourself in the moment or even after the fact. You're like, man, I was dumb to be upset about that, but like it's well, also too, like, especially for me, like being out of the house is not a common thing, like unless it's the grocery store, so Costco, Kroger, wherever I go, that's typically the most that I'm out of the house. So like even like last week when I went to the meetup, like it was a 3 hour drive there, 3 hour drive back. The meetup, so I got home and I was like exhausted. Like that's a big task for me now. So
Yeah.
like, because I don't go anywhere. So, you know.
I
But
don't go
anyway,
to
that was off
I just
topic. But
stay in my basement, I don't leave the house.
well, this is one of the bedrooms where the kids used to have. So like I just put curtains up behind me and put some lights up, and now I've got an office. So
I like it. I mean, it's a fancy looking studio. I just have the living room behind me, so I have to put these fun backgrounds behind me. So, which actually, even if I had a studio, I think I would use these fun backgrounds.
yeah, I want to get a thing like in the back that says keto simple or whatever, but I don't
Oh
know where I
yeah.
would put it and how I'd do it. Like, because you can order flags or you can get like the
Mhm.
the neon lights and stuff that are custom made that aren't super expensive. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think there might be some other information in here. Let's take a look. Jason's saying that he can't moderate anything, so he's a much better at abstaining. So it's like I can't really abstain either for I mean, I can, but that's kind of like what I found when I try to do something like triple B and E.
Mhm.
It's not that most of the time that's what I'm eating anyway, but when I would set the limit to myself, like, so I'm going to do triple B and E for this much time, then my brain goes, "What? We can't have this now?" When I wasn't going to have it anyway, but then my brain's like, "But we like that. Why aren't we going to have that?"
Yeah.
And it's like a self-sabotaging thing. So that's where like those kind of challenges, or I like to call it, like, there's a lady that I found on YouTube and she was going to do a carnivore commitment. She was committing to doing carnivore for X number of weeks, months, whatever. And I really liked that idea. So I've kind of borrowed that from her. So like it's a commitment. When you're making a
Yeah.
commitment to something like carnivore, triple B and E, yeah.
It's all about how you phrase things. And that's a good example of that. Like you mentioned, um, going out to eat and, like, cheating or whatever, I feel like we have to rephrase that. I hate the word cheating. If
Mhm.
my clients come to me and say, "I plan to cheat Saturday," I was like, "No, you don't. You plan to live your life." I call it living your
Right.
life. You're
Yeah.
planning for it. You're planning to go off plan or however you wanna say it, but if you say cheating, like, "I'm gonna cheat this weekend," that's already giving a negative connotation to it and already setting you up in the mindset like you failed or you're a failure, and I think that's why a lot of people going low carb, whatever version they're doing, and they go off plan, and then they feel like crap afterwards, like mentally, like, "Oh my god, I cheated. I shouldn't have done that," and they have like the instant regret. I think it's because you're going in with negative connotation. So it's just like reframing things. Just live your life. If you're going to go off plan, plan for it, right? Go off plan for it. And it's not going to set you up and put you in that failure mindset. Like before you even do anything, before you
Mhm.
even go and put the food in your mouth, you're already feeling like a failure because of the words you use. So I think I like that because it's like rephrasing things in a more positive way because challenge again, it's already going in like, oh my God, this is going to be so hard. I'm going to feel like shit. Like I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So it's just like rephrasing how you say things.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. And like whenever you come on and like, cause I'm very open, transparent about things that we do. Um, like saying went out Thursday, had some popcorn.
Yeah.
I it's the movies. For a long time we wouldn't do that. But now it's not like I'm gonna come home and then have more popcorn. I don't have any popcorn in the house, I don't
Yeah.
think. There might be some here. I don't know. But the idea that if I were to come on here and it's almost like there is an air of being apologetic about it. Like, we went out and we had last week we went out and we had sushi with some friends we don't see very often. But I'm sorry that I had sushi.
Oh no,
Or
you
I
had
hope that
rice? Did you
I
have
hope I
rice? Oh no.
yeah, I hope that didn't trigger some, you know what I mean? It's like I don't think we should be necessarily promoting. You should go and have sushi with your friends because that's not me to tell you. But I also don't think we should be walking on eggshells
Yeah.
about the decisions that we have made or the
Yeah.
decisions we plan to make.
I
'Cause I
agree.
don't think that's healthy either.
Right.
And a lot, and especially in the early days of keto for us, there was more. It wasn't so much things like this. It was more message boards, uh, things like that, and it was always like, don't talk about the cheating because it's almost like you're asking for permission.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I don't. I mean, I think being transparent about the life that I'm living in a lifestyle in a community is very valid, and I don't think it's necessarily asking permission. And maybe somewhere along the line, some people are kind of asking for permission or trying to make others make them feel okay with the choices that they've made. But I think, like for us, that's what we know that we're probably going to go get sushi 2 or 3 times a year. That's just part of
Mhm.
because we like it. And keto sushi is gross.
Yeah. Well, it's the same with me, like, I had pasta on the cruise I went on, like, handmade, like, fresh pasta because I didn't have once a
Yeah.
year, Christmas
Mhm.
Eve, we do my dad cooks up this Italian dinner, we have, like, pasta and fish, and yeah, I'm not gonna abstain from that, that's tradition, it's the food of my people, but we didn't have it this year for Christmas, because we had a lot of personal things going on, which I know a lot of people already know, we had a death in the family, whatever, a lot of things happened, so I was like, "Well, I didn't have my pasta this year. I didn't have whatever." So when I was on the cruise, I had my pasta. But I don't do that every day. I do it like definitely once a year, and that was my once a year treat. But yeah, so I'm the same way. It's like there's things and you just have to live your life and just plan for it. And I felt like garbage after the pasta, but I went in expecting to feel like garbage. But that's my, once a year treat. And it's a family tradition over Christmas. It's an Italian dinner. So yeah, you just have to live your life and not feel like not regretful and not feel like you failed or whatever. Like you have to do what's sustainable. And if you can't abstain, I can't go to my parents' house and I choose not to my parents' house for Christmas dinner and not have my dad's hand like fresh pasta and all that stuff, and he breads his fish. Like, I'm not gonna bring my own hamburger patty, my own steak, while everyone else is eating an Italian dinner. For me, that's not fun. For me, I will feel left out, and my dad's cooking's good. So, like, if those are things you know you can't do, then don't do it. You have to be happy, and you have to live your life, and you shouldn't be that dogmatic and that restricted with your food because, later down the line, that can cause issues and that can cause, okay, now I'm going to eat all the things because you feel deprived and all that. So you just have to live your life and do what works for you. And who cares what anyone else says?
Right. And that kind of goes the other way too. So if you're in the beginning of a journey
Mhm.
and you understand that if you were to go to, like, say you were to go to home and eat that pasta, that would derail you till March.
Yeah.
Then you got to bring your own burger or I mean, you
Right.
have to do, it's like, it's both sides of the coin.
Yep.
And that's where the self-discovery, that's where, finding out what works for you. That's where, that's where, like, one of the things that I try to talk about the most is consistency over perfection because we're never going to be perfect. We're never going to have, I mean, the likelihood of any of us being on plan, 100% perfect macros, 365 days out of 365 days is about like winning the lottery. Now, is
Yeah.
there going to be somebody who can do it? Sure. But is that most of us? No.
I wanna win the lottery. That's up to
I want to win.
billions right now, isn't it? Like
Well, I don't
billions.
know. Up to last night, I don't know if anybody won or not. It was like
Oh.
$977 million or something. I don't know if anybody won. If they didn't win, then maybe I'll buy a ticket. I don't know. I was thinking about it, but then I didn't go anywhere to buy the ticket. So,
Because you don't leave your house.
well, I mean, I did go. I went to Costco yesterday, and then I also went to Gordon's Food Service. So
Oh,
I got
Like Gordon Ramsay or Gordon Fisherman?
it's like a restaurant supply store.
Oh, okay.
So like I got like 20 pounds of hamburger and 2 tubes, and they were like $28 a piece.
Oh, damn,
So
that's not
10
bad.
pounds, so it was like 280 or 299 a pound or something like that.
Oh, that's not bad.
So it wasn't bad. And then I got some beef bacon. I don't think we've ever had beef bacon before.
Interesting. Actually, I don't think I have either. Maybe once, but yeah, it's all pork.
So I'm gonna try. It was expensive. It was like $8 for 10 ounces, but I figure I would try it.
Huh, sounds
Yeah.
good.
But yeah, so I think just the idea, like, how I what keto looked like for me, or what my lifestyle, my journey looked like for me in 2016 was different than 2017, 2018. Because like in 2018, Shannon and I, we went to Disney by ourselves, and we didn't take any kids. It was just she and I. And, we tried to make the best choices that we could make at each meal. Like one of the first meals we had while we were on property was like a burger with, instead of French fries, we got the Brussels sprouts, and they were awesome. But we didn't take the bun off. You know what I mean? Like, and so it was like
You
we
didn't take
said
the
okay
bun
to the
off?
bun. I know, right? I almost got arrested by the keto police.
I don't eat bread though. I won't do that, but if my
Yeah.
husband, because we're going to Ruth Chris tonight, and he usually gets like the steak sandwich and it comes with fries, I don't order. I just get either the steak or the
Mhm.
chicken. And I don't get the fries. But I will take like 3 fries and I'll just eat 3 of his fries and that's it and just move on with my life. But yeah, I haven't done the bread yet. I don't know. I was never a huge bread person or chips person.
It's just one of those things that was just like, okay, well, it was there. It was like, okay, I mean, we're sitting out, we're on the water. It's nice. We can watch we were seeing fireworks from one of the parks. It was just like, okay, we're here. Let's make, because I mean, you're obviously like a place like Disney. It's possible to
Mhm.
stay completely on plan and not destroy,
Mhm.
not to sway. If you're a
Yeah.
person that's going to say, I'm going to go to Disney and not enjoy Disney.
Yeah.
And I understand that, some people, like, all that stuff is just not going to be good for them and they're just going to have a miserable time. Sure. But like, we had sweets and we tried like Food and Wine was going on. So you had like you could go around at Epcot and they had like little samples of all the different things for like $5 instead of spending
Mm.
$15. So you get like we'd get like a little Belgian waffle thing and split it, or you know what I mean? Like, and we would just do that all around. I mean, we were walking like 25-30,000 steps a day too. So I mean, does it balance out? No, but it's just one of those things. But we couldn't have done that in 2016. We would have been totally off the rails.
Yeah.
But like, but our ability to make better choices in 2018 was better. And then the way we do things now is better. See, that's more like it.
I had to because Mama Cracker said watching Nicole's videos until she puts Rainbow Bright up there. So here's Rainbow Bright.
So now she's gonna click off. Like, well, see ya.
I had to. I just happen to have it in reserve.
And Maitreya says that she's also 5 feet tall.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Just
I
2
love my
hobbits that are having
shorties.
a good time. But yeah, like, let's see. So Sherry that I met last week, her son was with her, and I thought he was like in his 20s, but he was 17. He had like a full beard. So I was
Oh,
like,
damn.
it's like my son still has all the teen junk in the house. I'm thankful it doesn't tempt me anymore. Well, that's one of the things, like, when our boys were teenagers, they wanted to commit mutiny on us because we completely purged the house. I don't think we would have been any sort of successful if we didn't. And I know it may have been a struggle for them, but we still gave them their autonomy and their choices. If they were to go out with their dad or go out with friends, they could go. They wherever they were, whatever they were going to do outside of the house was their choice. But we were not going to cook separate meals for them. We weren't going to do anything like that because that would be I was doing all the cooking, and that would be, a very derailing event for me. If I'm like, okay, well, I'm making macaroni and cheese for you, and I'm making, chicken and broccoli for me, or whatever
Yeah.
the case, right? That would have been very difficult to not eat the mac and cheese. So that was one of those things, like, we had to do that. They didn't like it, but I think, they were in sports, and I think they gained an appreciation for it over time that they kind of lost as they moved out of the house. But our middle child, who has now kind of come back and is starting to do more of a healthier keto lifestyle, and he kind of understands better now. I think it just takes a little bit of time,
Yeah.
but so I commend anybody who is able to have that in the house, because it's so difficult. Like, even for our granddaughter, we have certain things in the house now. Like, sometimes, like, we'll have, like, the container of, like, the cheese balls, because we can use that to make her eat other foods that she needs to eat, because primarily she's eating eggs and sausage and stuff in the morning, cottage cheese. But sometimes, to get her to eat anything, because some days she would rather do anything else on the planet than eat. And I don't understand that. I've never understood that. Like,
Mm.
not wanting to eat is one of the most mind-boggling things I've ever. And I know she's 5, but so we'll entice her with cheese balls or pretzels. So there's those things in the house from time to time. And I'm a lot better off now than I ever was. So I'm very thankful for my ability now. But
Yeah.
we're like 8, I can't remember, for 8 or 9 years in now, whatever. So we started in 2016, so it's gotta be 8 years.
That's a
But
long time.
yeah, and Jackie said she hit 5'3" with I hit 5'3" with shoes on, or with shoes on, she's 5'2" and a half. That half is very important.
I mean, it makes a difference when you're short. I'm 5 foot and 3/4, so I'm 5 foot almost 1.
Almost one.
Yeah. My mom used to tell me if I go in the doorway and stretch up, I'll get taller. So my dumbass listened to her and did it, and it didn't work. She was so mean. I was walking around the house when I was a kid, like, stretching, trying to grow.
Oh, at least you didn't invest in, like, one of those, like, torture devices and start pulling yourself
That's
apart.
true. Like they did on, Princess Bride.
Mhm. Or you could always go with, what was that, Gattaca, the movie Gattaca, where his legs extended?
Oh, yeah, no. Mm-mm. No, thank you. That's so painful.
I think they're talking about sports in here too.
I know, had a debate going, they're all talking about, like, pitchers. I know, Mike Schmidt was mentioned. I don't know who else they were mentioning.
Yeah, I don't know anything about baseball.
Really?
Yeah. We don't have an actual team here, so I just,
Well, yeah.
Indianapolis, we have an NBA team and we have an NFL team. We have the Pacers and the Colts.
I mean, New Jersey, we don't have a team just only because New York plays in New Jersey, but they're still New York. We have teams that play in New Jersey. They're just New York teams.
Well, I mean, New York has 3 teams. Why would you need any?
That's what I'm saying. And New York also claims the Statue of Liberty, but it's actually New Jersey. Like they try to take all the good stuff. New Jersey doesn't have a lot of good things. Like at least give us a couple.
And Danny's here. Good morning. Danny says he's like, it was on the video list of upcoming, but he didn't know it started 20 minutes late. So he's going to catch up and he's heading to work.
20 minutes late? We were on time.
Well, no, he caught and started 20 minutes late.
Oh,
And William McCartney says that they avoid self-checkouts unless they. Well, that's the thing, is like a lot of times nowadays, depending on the store, they don't give you the choice. They just don't have any actual checkouts open anymore.
Yeah, there's no human people working the checkouts anymore. It's all self-checkout.
And Mr. Grant Gregory is here. Good afternoon, sir. He says he ate McDonald's on keto and still lost a heap. Yeah, and so for me, it's not necessarily McDonald's itself. So when I get like that weird craving for McDonald's, it's chicken nuggets and French fries and the stuff that I know I shouldn't eat.
Yeah.
And like, because yesterday I did go in, and because every Friday we get the granddaughter a Happy Meal, and if she's good all week, we get her a Happy Meal. And I ordered three triple cheeseburgers, not the quarter pounders or whatever. I wanted to see how they would give them to me, so I ordered three or four triple cheeseburgers, no ketchup, extra pickle. And people go, "Ooh, pickle!" I don't care.
Oh, I
Anyway,
love pickle. I always
I
throw the pickles off my
love
husband's
pickles.
plates. He hates pickles, so I take his.
And I ordered them, and they put them in they put them in individual boxes. And I looked in there, but they didn't give me a fork. So I had to wait till I got home to eat it. That's fine. And I put it
Oh.
in the microwave.
Well, I know we're not getting into this comment yet, but,
Or I appreciate you,
SC
sir.
Bradley said Jersey has a Devils and Nets, right? Yes, we do, but I was thinking like baseball and football, but yes, we do have the Jersey Devils and the Nets, but I'm a Flyers fan because 'cause I'm on the Philly side of things, but I don't mind the Devils.
The only NHL game I've ever seen was the Penguins versus the Devils in Pittsburgh.
Was this when Wayne Gretzky was, still playing?
No, this was like 2005.
Oh, okay.
We were supposed to see two different games. I think we were supposed to see the Devils, then we were supposed to see the Blues, because we were supposed to go. It was like a long weekend, my friend and like a Friday night, I had booked a show for my friends in Dayton, Ohio. So we had went to that show, and then they were playing in Columbus, Ohio the next night, and we weren't supposed to go to that. We were supposed to go to Pittsburgh and go to the day. It was a day Penguins game, and then we were going to go see Clutch that night. But then we ended up staying in Columbus and going to my friend's show that night, and then hanging out at a hotel all night, and then getting up the next morning and going to actually go to the. So we missed out on one of the Penguins games.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this kind of goes back to what we were talking about. As Mary says, that she's the opposite. She can't eat when she's stressed.
Yeah.
But for me, there's nothing I want more. If I'm super stressed out, if I've had a bad week, there's nothing I want more is to sit on the couch, watch something lighthearted, comedy, whatever, and eat myself stupid. That's like, I want that more than anything. That's like one of the hardest things to break
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah,
Like,
it's weird how some people are different in that, like, their hunger gets suppressed, but yeah, that is a thing. Like I said, I don't know that it's very common, like, more common than people,
two
like,
comments in a row.
eating.
Talking about they're definitely suppressed when they're stressed out.
Yeah, Carrie's the opposite. What's up, my girl? But Carrie's the opposite. She is actually trying to, gain weight, like put on muscle and all that stuff. Whereas most people are trying to lose weight, she's trying to gain. And yeah, gaining can be hard too, especially if you're trying to do it in a healthy way and do it right. Gaining weight can be just as difficult as losing weight, if not more, depending on because you have to, yeah, it's just very difficult. So she's still trying to put on some weight, muscle.
Mm. And Mama Cracker says, Nicole, I didn't call you a Smurf because it looks like the World of Warcraft behind you without my glasses.
Gray Skull,
Yeah.
He-Man.
And Uncle Big Guy has a question. He goes, "What's a dishwasher?"
Yeah, apparently I am. Apparently I'm a
Well,
dishwasher.
I'm a weirdo, so I wash the dishes before I put them in the dishwasher. Like I scrub them and I run, and then I wash all the silverware and I wash the plates and the bowls and everything out before I put in the dishwasher. To me, like the dishwasher is like a sanitation device. So I put it in the dishwasher and I run it, and I know when it comes out, it's going to be sparkly and clean, and it's going to be all right.
I mean, sometimes you have to scrub depending on what you ate to get all the gunk off because a dishwasher isn't
All
necessarily
the
gonna scrub.
grease, all the
Yeah.
steak grease.
Uh-huh.
all the
All the
yeah, and I
fat.
don't want all that grease going through my dishwasher because then it
Yeah.
clogs it up, and then you gotta get a new one.
Yeah, it's disgusting going down the drain.
Yeah.
Uncle Big Guy, that's funny though.
Yeah. I was like, "I'm the dishwasher."
Hopefully not this afternoon when they come to hopefully fix it once and for all. We can put the dishes in the actual dishwasher.
Let's see. It's like chatting with me for several hours in the car is draining anyone's energy reserves. That's not what I was saying. I truly enjoy but even like something that I even noticed, like even at KPL last year, like I got to KPL early Friday. It was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I got there early Friday. And then by the time everything was starting to kick off, I was like, I went up to my room and like just kind of sat there and closed my eyes for like an hour because I was like, this is a lot. You know what
You're
I
an
mean? Like
introvert?
nonstop, like 300 people. There's just like, it's just my social battery isn't what it used to be.
You're an introvert?
No, I mean it's more so now than it used to be. Like prior to the pandemic, I was out all like almost every weekend going to shows and seeing bands play, hanging out with friends. We play cards all the time, just always out of the house. But then like 2 or 3 years where you don't go anywhere and you stay home, and then like your entire life becomes like so now like with YouTube and stuff, like I feel guilty leaving the house because I'm like, I have YouTube stuff I need to do.
Oh.
I have videos I need to edit. I have videos I want to record, and that's always on my brain. So I mean, that started with the pandemic. So that's kind of one of those things for me too. So like me leaving the house in of itself is a difficult proposition. Like
Mm.
I'm one of those people like, oh, I want to make plans, but then maybe they'll cancel. And I can stay home and sit on the couch and watch TV.
Yeah, I was out all the time before the pandemic. I think the pandemic made like a lot of us homebodies now. I was like, now I'm just like, I just want to like veg out. And I don't like it.
Right. And Jason makes a good point here. He says, once you change, I can't eat that to I choose not to eat that. It
Right.
does get easier. It
Mhm.
really does, like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And it's like when we first started, like going to the grocery store and like I would have to like rush past the cookie aisle so I didn't see them because then I'd have that longing. But now I can walk down and see because now you might find some new brand of like low carb cookie or something where you didn't
Yeah.
see it before. So it does get easier. And it does, like, especially once you have that epiphany that as someone like me, I was in pain and you didn't realize my knees bothered me, my joints bothered me, my knuckles would bother me. And once you realize that you remove a lot of that stuff and that goes away, that mental disconnect there, like, kind of triggers, and you're like, okay, if I eat that, I'm going to hurt.
Mhm.
So it's probably not going to taste the same.
Yeah.
So, and Marina says it's good to see you catch a live. That's good.
What's up, girl?
Oh, duck eggs. Duck eggs are delicious.
Huh.
I do have a video I need to make because Stacy, who's in the chat, her and her husband, they raise quails. And at the meetup on Saturday, she brought me a jar of pickled quail eggs.
Oh, interesting.
So we're gonna try those, much to Chandra's dismay. She's like, I don't want to, and I'm like, we're going to. She's like, I don't want to, and I'm like, we're going
I don't care what you want.
to. Yeah.
My chat's going crazy on the on the talking back and forth. I love it.
Yeah. Let's see. Mary says, I also hate when people say cheat. I like
Mhm.
the word treat as I have a treat day once a month. My treat could be as simple as a plain sweet potato or berries with sugar or sugar-free whipped cream. Yeah, that's
Yep.
the thing is like, I mean, and realistically, anything like last night, I had like 3 of those little cutie things.
The who?
The
Cutie?
cuties, like the little tangerine things called cuties.
Oh, okay.
They're like they're genetically engineered to be like easy to peel. So I mean
Oh,
they're
okay.
probably terrible, but like it's good because the granddaughter can peel them and eat them on her own. And I'll tell you what's weird and it's probably disgusting to most people, but if you let them sit out for like 30 minutes, like once you peel them and let them sit for about 30 to 45 minutes, they get a little crunchy. It's
Oh, what
so
the
But I mean, it's just like the out skin gets a little bit crunchy on the outside. And actually, but they're delicious on the inside.
They're
Like
not
I said, it's
supposed
probably not for everybody, but it's just
Dustin, they're not supposed to be crunchy. It's not a potato chip.
hey, you know what? You make do with what you have. Sashimi is carnivore, yeah, and like, but that's the thing is like, if I were to go into a sushi restaurant and order enough sashimi to get me satiated, I'm either A, going to be broke for like the next 3 months, or like, because we go to this place, it's like $25 and it's all you can order, all you care to order. But you can order sashimi. I imagine if I put in, like, they will probably throw us out. Like, you have to leave now. We don't have any more fish left.
Yeah. All you can eat buffet is gonna change its business
Well, I mean, it's not
model.
I mean, that's the thing is it's not a buffet. So
Oh,
you go
well,
in,
those places, yeah.
yeah. So they just give you like this dry erase menu and a marker, and then like, but it's weird because Shandra and I will go by ourselves every once in a great while, and we'll order like however many rolls we want, and then they only bring us like what they think we're gonna eat.
Yeah.
They're like, we didn't bring you everything you ordered, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Why would you not?
Yeah.
Because because like if you don't eat it all, you got to pay like after like 7 pieces left. You could if you have more than 7 pieces left over, it's $1 a piece each.
Damn.
So that's all. That's on us.
Well, we
So
went, Keto no, Keto Palooza, whatever was in Kentucky. We went to this Brazilian steakhouse after one of the days, and I've been to a Brazilian steakhouse once. We actually have one, like, walking distance from us, but they kept, like, putting meat in my face, and I was like, "It was awesome." It was like, literally, I ate so much, and there were different tiers of the amount of meat and the types of meat and all that, so I just got the bottom tier because I can't put down food like that, but, yeah, it was reasonably priced for the amount you got, but what if I go to a place like you're describing or all-you-can-eat buffet, and it's like 20, 30 something dollars, I can't eat that much to be worth going to a place like that, but a Brazilian steakhouse, like, where you're paying for kind of unlimited is kind of like, for me, like, a once in a while thing just because I don't eat enough to make it worth the cost.
well, that's like one of the things. Like it's weird because they charge like $25, 25, $26 for the all you can eat. But if you but if you go in and do like a takeout and order their rolls, each roll
Yeah.
is like $15.
Damn.
And like we'll order like 8 rolls.
Yeah,
Like
that's a
while we're
lot.
sitting, like, I mean, it is, but it's not because
Yeah.
because it's like one of those things. Like you can put away sushi. At least we can, but let's see. Um, Rick says I eat 3 times a day. Breakfast starts cooking at 8 a.m. Yeah, I
Wow.
don't. I have my coffee in the morning, but like today, I was awake for an hour and a half before I didn't start drinking coffee till I was sitting here with you.
Yeah.
And now I won't eat till later today. And depending what I eat, I got some steaks at Costco yesterday. I'll probably make those tonight. I do need to I need to make. I got some stuff to make like homemade chicken nuggets. I'm going to do a
Oh,
recipe
cool.
video, so we'll see how that
Yeah.
goes. Um, so I've got to make those today. I think the chicken probably needs to be cooked. I got ground chicken to make that. So
Yeah.
um,
I started eating 3 times a day too, and I actually feel best. I ate, like, once a day, twice a day. Once a day was not on purpose, it just happened. But I feel better at 3 times a day, so I eat 3 meals a day.
and for me, like, well, I consider my coffee a meal because it's big
Yeah.
and it's got heavy cream in it. More than a
You
tablespoon.
put
Go, I
an
only
egg
put a tablespoon. You don't love yourself, okay? I mean, I'm just
Do you put an egg in
or
there?
no.
Okay.
Um, I have. I just prefer the heavy cream over the egg. If I'm doing something like a triple B and E, then I would probably do egg only. But but I mean, I put enough cream in there. It's probably 6 to 7 carbs of cream. So to me, that's a meal. I know, right? But like, and because I even had somebody on one of YouTube things. It's like, we've got to understand what a meal is. That's not a meal. And I'm like, well, to me, it's got X number of calories, X number of carbohydrates. It's a meal to me. That's how I look at it. I mean, is it a satiating meal? Yes and no. It's coffee. It's what I enjoy in the morning, but it's not going to be like what I would have at night to go, well, I had a meal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I think the idea of what a meal is kind of overlooked to a degree or mischaracterized. So, oh, I love sardines. Am I the only one who likes those? I like the boneless, skinless ones. They taste better than tuna.
Ugh.
So if you're not a fish person, I guess that would be why. But
That's why
sardines, like
she
I
put
get,
the smiley at the end because they know how to get to me. The sardines and Brussels sprouts talk. Ugh.
well, that's more for me. And broccoli, Brussels sprouts. That's all the same. It's all the same plant, just cultivated differently.
Sardines are not a plant. Blech.
I mean, low key plant. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't start eating sardines or Brussels sprouts or broccoli or any of this stuff till like keto. My mom never. I think my mom made me broccoli once, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah,
So
you
she never
have to
made it
put
again.
stuff on it. Like, Susan, can eat she's not in the chat now, but she's the only person I know of who can just eat Brussels sprouts without putting stuff on it. Like, she just bakes it and then eats it. No, oil, vinegar, no nothing, butter, no nothing. I was like, "You have to dress those things up to make it taste remotely satisfying."
Well, even so there's a couple of restaurants that I've been to that do like Brussels sprouts as an appetizer, and they like basically like roast them to like
Mm,
they're super crispy.
yeah.
But they always bring like a dipping sauce,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they're seasoned.
Yeah.
I mean, just like broccoli, I could probably eat steamed broccoli. Not gonna. I made a big batch of broccoli the other day. I cut up like 2 onions, put it in there, a bunch of butter, some avocado oil, seeds like salt, garlic. Stuff was so good.
'Cause you gotta dress it up to make it good.
Well, yeah, I mean it's the same thing. You're gonna put salt in your steak too.
But you could just eat steak. You could just take the steak
Yeah,
and just eat it. You don't have to, like, make it taste good.
there's that too. I know it's one of those things like, and a lot of that stuff like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, that came out of desperation because there wasn't always a sustainable amount of meat around for us as humans, right? And then over time, I imagine, over time, like obviously where they were cultivated to be what they are now. And then over time, people just began to make them and like them and became a part of daily life. And that's the thing with like corn and wheat and making bread and all that stuff. And that just became a part of life. And there was I don't know if you're familiar with Matt Patton food theory or not on YouTube.
No.
It's like a 3 million subscriber channel. Big, huge, overly produced channel. Um, and they had a video based on like how bread was like responsible for a lot of civilization and all that stuff. And like how bread was like basically like a driving factor. But I mean,
Are
there's
they
it's more
talking
than
about,
just
like,
bread.
the Egyptian people?
Yeah, I mean, like how
Yeah.
basically like there's been no like when something happens with the bread, society begins to fall. But I was watching it and I was like, I wanted to talk about that because I think if you look at that, like you can see that maybe the society began to fall because they all got diabetes. Because like what allowed us to have big societies like we have is actually sewers more than anything else and beer. Because
Mhm.
for a long time there we weren't a lot we couldn't live off the dirty water.
Yeah.
So big cities been a lot of dirty water. Small little communities, they could be near a stream and have clean water, but sewers, clean water. So boiling your water to make beer makes sense because you're killing whatever's in it. And then bread, which was a way to feed the masses, so you would have all these people. But then like every society would fall. So I think it's diabetes.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. I'd like to talk to you about diabetes. I couldn't wrap my sardines in bacon because mine, I get the
Oh,
boneless, skinless one, so it's more like tuna.
I mean, I would take the
Sugars.
sardines out and just eat the bacon.
Well, you can do that.
Just so gross.
People talking about their Frank's Red Hots.
Yeah.
But I've never had a tomahawk steak. So Charlie, you said you were going to weigh he had a tomahawk steak sous vide last weekend. He had it waiting for him when he got home, and he was going to weigh it before and after to see
Oh,
like
was that
how
in your
much.
live stream chat? I think I saw that. Or did he do a I think I saw that.
I can't remember what he said if he
Yeah.
told us what the bone weighed, because that's like one of the things that I was like, I'm never buying a tomahawk steak. Look how big that bone is. That's
Yeah.
like at least a quarter pound or at least a half pound of bone.
Yeah. They're so
And
big. It's like I
yeah,
can't do big. I need the petite fillet. I need like a small steak. If I do like a 12 ouncer, I'll do something like that for like to get like 2 meals out of it. But oh, my appetite is not that big.
yeah. I was asking, is keto chow okay? I like keto chow. I
Mm.
add keto chow. Sometimes, like for me, like on an evening, I'll make a hot keto chow and just have that while I'm watching TV or just kind of relaxing before bed. Like a nice hot keto chow.
Yeah. Um, so he said 29 ounces total, bone weighs 6 ounces. And then Rick says 2 pounds of steak is a meal for me. So I did a reaction video that came out a day or two ago. I don't, all these days blend together. And he is, he was a carnivore and now he's vegan and now he's coaching people because he's qualified to coach people because he eats and he and he said he was eating 40 pounds of meat a week. I was like, what in the hell, dude? That's why you have so many issues. And that's like 5, 6 pounds of meat a day. That's insane to me. That's so much meat. I don't
That's
even know
more
how
than
he
like
got it all
Sean
down.
Baker eats.
Sean Baker even eats less than that. I don't even
That's
think
what I
he
said.
eats that
Yeah.
much. Yeah, and I'm like, how do you even get that much meat down? Like, how does your body his gallbladder was probably jacked, but yeah, that's what he said, 40 pounds of meat. So, like, when, Darth Carnivore said 6 ounces, 29 ounces total, and all that stuff, and then Rick says 2 pounds of steak, like, that's what I went to, is that guy saying he ate 5, 6 pounds of meat a day.
I struggle to eat like if I really put my mind to it, I could probably eat 3 pounds of meat a day.
Mm.
But I wouldn't be eating any eggs or anything like that. So it
It'll be
would be
like a
like
one meal thing, like 1 meal, sit down, like, but can I don't know, 5, 6
I would.
pounds? Has anyone done that? Has anyone put down that much
Oh, I'm
meat?
sure there. I mean, I'm sure that there are like I've seen competitive eaters eat 30-inch pizzas in
Oh, I'm
15
talking
minutes. You know
about
what I
the
mean?
average person, I'm not
Oh
talking
yeah,
about yeah.
yeah.
What's up,
That's the one
Cindy?
thing. This is so I'm not this is a great example of keto success though. Pre-keto, I had to depend on Attila and Jen to do all the loading for me. So she's talking about she had loaded her car. She's got a convention in
Oh,
Indiana this coming week. So that's why we'll have dinner with her next week. So she's loaded. Basically, she said she loaded in a car and she's got to disassemble some stuff and get it all ready to go. And now she's able to do it all on her own and doesn't need anybody to help her or depend
nice,
solely on other
nice.
people.
Nice.
Matreya's awesome. She was on here with me a couple, like, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago.
Okay.
I don't know. Time.
Yeah, I usually catch your replay, I don't know, your live streams are a little too early for my blood. Sometimes I'll watch it from my phone, I'll still be in bed.
Yeah, I know. I mean, sometimes they're too early for me too, but it's not because I'm awake anyway. And if I were
Yeah,
to go back to bed and I wouldn't be up till like maybe 1 in the afternoon, and then what am I gonna do?
yeah,
I feel like I wasted the day.
that's true. But you have a
Like,
there's a good crowd this early in the morning. I didn't know. Yeah, it seems like a good time of day. It's actually drawing in a lot of people for an early Saturday morning. I'm impressed.
well, and it's nice too because there's
Yeah,
not a lot of like competition, so to
that's
speak.
true.
You're not stepping on people's toes. You're not trying to go live with like 4 other channels.
Yeah.
And, you know, and realistically, I started doing the Sundays first. I was like, well, you know, I would wake up on Sunday morning and I would sit and have my coffee and watch YouTube. And I was like kind of wanting to have more interaction with people, build
Mhm.
community.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if I go, and I put out a feeler, I was like, if I go live on Sunday mornings at 7:30, would anybody in their right mind come and hang out with me? And I didn't think anybody would.
Yeah.
And then I have maybe, usually 25 people come and talk to me on a Sunday morning, and we have a good talk. We talk for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Typically, we end just in time so people who are interested can go over and hang out with Autumn and Richard because they go live at 9:30.
Okay, yeah, I remember you were doing Sundays. I do Monday evenings at 6 because I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm trying to um, go live more just because I love interacting and getting to know people in the community, the watchers and other creators. But Mondays, it's just hard planning stuff during the week because yes, so there's so many people going live around the same time. So I just don't worry about that. I just go live whenever it works for my schedule and just see what happens. But 6 p.m. It draws in a decent crowd, and for me, it's just fun.
Out of context, this makes no sense, but it's funny.
Oh, he was at the restaurant
I know.
with
Yeah.
us, and I couldn't eat anymore, and he and his wife were still hungry, so I just kept giving them my meat. So yeah, they ate pretty much the rest of my meat, and one of them was, like, I asked for, like, medium well, and they gave me, like, rare, so I, like, gave it to him. He was all about it.
Oh yeah, they sat at my table on Saturday, and we had at the meetup. So Danny's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm looking for because I think Thursday night. So Keto Palooza this year is obviously it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Um, I will be getting in on Thursday afternoon at check-in, and then I believe a group of us are probably going to be going out to the Brazilian Steakhouse Thursday night.
Yeah.
So because I'm being forced to go.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make any events this year unless it's later in the year. Um, but I don't know, like, the Keto Plaza was okay. The area we stayed at, like, him and I stayed at, it was not very if I go again, I'll probably try to get a spot at the Gold House, but there were no spots because we booked super late. It was, like, last minute.
Mhm.
But yeah, the area we were at was kinda sketch. I don't know. I was kind of nervous, like, walking anywhere by myself. There were a lot of people, like, doing donuts, like, right outside the hotel. It was a little too sketch for me, like, a lot of sketchy neighborhoods around the area we were, so I don't know.
Initially last year, I had booked an Airbnb about 2 or 3 blocks from the hotel,
Okay.
and then I was gonna be walking to the hotel because I had a parking spot at the Airbnb, and then parking if at least last year, if you weren't staying there, parking was $30 a not $30 a day.
Yeah.
So that 3 days there would have been $90.
Yeah, you had to pay for we had to pay for parking the at least one of the days we were there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then, if you stayed there last year, it was $15 a day to park. So if you were
Mm.
staying part of the convention or part of Keto Palooza, then you got a discounted parking rate.
Yeah.
But this year there's no discount, so it's $90 no matter what. So if
Yeah.
you stay there, you're still paying for parking.
It's just, like, especially it was, like, Kim and I walking and it's dark when you get out, the days, and, like, from a female perspective, I don't feel safe walking around at night by myself, not knowing the area, like, I wouldn't do that, I'm constantly looking behind me, but it was Kim and I, and there were these guys smoking weed, whatever, it's legal there, so I don't care, but they were just, like, 2 random guys just smoking, and me, I'm just like, oh my god, I didn't wanna walk by them, so we kind of, like, crossed the street and walked by, so, like, as single females, I don't know, I just didn't feel very comfortable, like, getting around, like, by ourselves, especially afterwards when it was already dark out and we had to walk through the neighborhood to get to our car, it felt a little uneasy.
Yeah, so that was one of the things, like, we did walking during the day to go out, but then we did go walking out at night. We went down to, like, whatever it was, like, further down 4th Avenue or whatever, like 4th Avenue Live or something like that, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
There was, some big concert going on and, like, well, when we went to TGI Fridays or whatever right there, but I didn't have any issues walking around
You're
downtown.
a big dude. I'm a small female.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's part of it too, but I was also in a group of people. Um,
Exactly, it was just me and
yeah.
Kim, 2 females walking down, you know what I mean? It just I don't know, I just didn't feel safe.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And that's why I would say, like, if you do plan on going, I would say maybe even if you're not sure, I would go and try to book a room because you can always cancel like so many days before if you're actually not going to go.
Yeah. If I do go again, I am definitely gonna stay at the Galt House. If it's there again, I'm gonna stay there.
Yeah, it's always going to be at the Galt House.
Yeah.
That's one thing that Autumn has made very clear. Like she loves the Galt House, and then
Yeah.
I mean it's a nice place. I'm
Mhm.
looking to see if there's any questions in here too. A lot of talking amongst ourselves.
That's what they do.
Let's see. Someone's saying here, Lori is saying that the skinless sardines they sell at Costco don't taste like sardines, not fishy at all. Yeah, like I said, they taste just like they taste like a fattier, richer like tuna. Like so, if you're a person who eats tuna, which is dry and boring, this like the boneless, skinless stuff and like olive oil and sea salt, that stuff is delicious. I mix it in eggs and do all kinds of stuff with that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if want to try them like whole one time, but I'm like, maybe I'll make a video of that. Like, this is me eating a fish.
Did I ever tell you the fish head story?
Roly poly fish heads.
Well, I played the video. I play wacky videos on my channel. I actually played the song, the fish head song, one stream. But one Christmas, again, the Italian feast, or fish and pasta. So, my mom and I went shopping. This was like Christmas Eve. My dad was at the house cooking. My mom and I went shopping. We get back to the house, and I'm not a huge seafood person. I'll eat certain like the white fish, like the cod, and like the certain fish I'll eat. But it smelled like fish, so I go into the kitchen and check on my dad, see what he's doing. He was like gutting fish, and I was grossed out. Like the smell just grosses me out. So my dad saw visibly I was grossed out. So he took one of the gutted fish and took the fish head and chased me out of the house, making the fish's mouth move, saying, "Come here, Nicole," and chasing me out of the house with the fish head. I was scarred. It was very mean and hurtful, and obviously it was mean and hurtful because I remember it all these years later. I was a kid, but yeah, he was making his mouth move, say, "Come here, Nicole," with the damn fish head, and I ran out of the house.
And Rick's like, us poor people don't do conventions. So I am poor. I am poor, and
Aw.
I still feel that even the struggle to be able to pay for Keto Palooza, the hotel, because like I got a double room, so I have somebody who's going to split the cost with me. And I got early bird tickets because if you went last year, you had an opportunity to get early bird tickets with a bigger discount. Which those sold out, I think, in like 18 hours, which was crazy. Last year, I think they were available for a few months. Um, and I think over half the tickets are sold out right now, and they haven't even announced all the speakers yet. Because it's more about like the community. That's why it's so important for me. And I do promote the crap out of Keto Palooza. I have no financial gain whatsoever. I don't even have my own discount code. I either have Dr. Barry's discount code, which is PhD, or 2KKs, which is 2KK. But for me, like it's an important event. I mean, it's only a 2-hour drive for me, so it's it's like the closest one I can go to. It's closer to me than the Ohio meetups I go to. So it's important, and it's the one that I have to make sure to go to now. Like last year I went to Low Carb for Better Health. That was actually there was some financial things that happened that were allowed me to go to that last year. That I probably won't be able to go this year, even though like Amy Berger is going to be there and I'm a big fan of hers. But so maybe she'll speak at Keto Palooza this year. I don't know who she has spoken at Keto Palooza in the past. But yeah, I'm a big like I talk about Keto Palooza in all of our lives just because I want to support that event because it's close. It's about as close to having one at my home that I'm going to have, unless I do one here, which doesn't make much sense because of Keto Palooza. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'm poor, but I'll do whatever I can to make sure I can go to that because it's an important event and it's a very community focused, keto family focused event. So
Yeah. I wish there were one like Rick said, there's nothing within 20 minutes of his. Yeah, there's no events near me either. It require all the events require me to travel somewhere.
Well, there was the one in Maryland last year, wasn't there? Which
I
I don't know
don't
how far Maryland is for you.
No, it's not that far, but no,
There
I
was
don't
a
know. No,
Maryland one. I
maybe
know
there
that
was. Maybe there was in the
2KK
Baltimore
went
area,
there
I
and
think,
such.
or National Harbor somewhere up there. Yeah.
Because they would think that I think because I wanted to go to I wanted to go to the Maryland one because I've never been to Maryland either, and I was gonna see if I could stay with my cousin and then drive up. I don't
Yeah.
think it was like maybe an hour and a half drive each way or whatever, which would have been bad for me. But I think it was a 1 day conference though. But I mean, like
I think
obviously,
you're right. I think you're right because I was looking at going to that one. Yeah, I think you are right. I think I looked at that one, but yeah, I think it was like a day or a day and a half thing. It was super quick, but yeah, it was like maybe between 1.5 hour drive, which isn't too bad. But there's not a lot of actual like kind of like a keto con or keto palooza, like one of those big events. There's really none around here that I'm aware of, like driving distance for me, like a big actual event rather than just a 1 day thing here and there.
yeah. I mean, there's not really much like that in the way of where I'm at either. I'm like smack dab in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So I'm like right in central Indiana. And like I went to the one in Tennessee last year. That was a 6 hour drive for me. And
Oh,
then it's like,
Austin? I was at the one in Austin.
well, no, this was the one in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, Nashville. Oh, I was thinking
Yeah,
Texas.
Austin would have
Yeah.
been like a 20+ hour drive for me.
Yeah.
So I would have to fly to Austin and go to that one.
Carrie was
Um,
talking about doing something in Tennessee in June. I don't know if that's still on the radar, but she lives in Tennessee.
mhm. I know there's some meetups. There's another meetup here in Indiana at the end of April, and then we're doing a meetup. Myself, Jackie, and Jennifer Lucas. We're doing a meetup in Indy, which is May 18th. It's a Saturday, so
Hmm.
it's like a 5 or 6 hour meetup, noon to 5.
Yeah.
So, and the details are starting to come out about that now. Um, it's $20 that helps cover the meat and all that stuff. But yeah, we have a good time. We've done it now. It'll be our third one we've done.
Nice. Oh, crap. Laura's in Maryland. How do we find out about these events? I would have gone, but had no idea. You can,
Lowcarbevents.com.
yep. Yeah, Carrie or Rick, you're a moderator. Can you throw the low carb events.com in the chat so it's a clickable link? Pretty please. Any of my
Yeah,
moderators?
and I can do that on my side too. I don't know if it'll
Yeah.
show up on both sides here.
Where in Maryland are you at, Laura? That's pretty cool. I don't know if you were here, but I live in Northern Virginia. So we're about 20 miles outside of Washington, D.C. on the Virginia side. So we're not too far from Maryland, maybe about 20 minutes from the border. I drive
Yeah,
through Maryland going home to Jersey. I don't like
and
driving through Maryland.
you would think that there would be one in you would think that there would be one in
Like Baltimore?
or like you'd think there'd be one in Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Laura lives in Montgomery County. We're practically neighbors in different states, though. Close, though.
I put my
Let me see.
link because somebody asked my link. Mama Cracker asked for my channel is. So I put that in
Um,
there. I
yeah,
don't
I
know if
can.
I don't know if it's going to show up on her side or not.
No, it won't. I'll try to put it in there. I don't know if any of my mods are still in the chat. I'll try to find Dustin's channel and put it up as well.
Let's
Let me
see.
see. Um,
Here we go. I'll put it in here too. Well, I don't think I'm a mod on your channel. I don't think.
no.
No.
I know I have mods in the chat. I just don't know if they're actively in
And
the chat at the moment, but I put Dustin's channel in my chat.
yeah, my channel is weird. So, um, if you don't like it, because if you do capital K keto, no space, capital S simple in the search, it usually pops up first. But
Yeah.
if you put a space in it, you may never find it.
Yeah.
It's
It's
weird.
like
You may find it or you may not.
yeah.
It's such a weird way that how YouTube search is.
It's because of oh, thanks, Carrie. Yeah, Carrie's okay. I wasn't sure if anyone was active or because I know a lot of people are multitasking. No, I appreciate you, Carrie. Thank you, thank you. She put the link in there as well. But yeah, YouTube's weird. Like you do like an at something or you just search someone's channel, but it pulls up the channels that rank higher, like with similar names. So I think that's how it does it. I think it's based off rankings, which is weird.
Yeah,
If you just do a search without the actual like at whatever the channel name is, if you just do like keto simple, it'll pull up videos and possibly other similar channels that rank higher rather than pulling up the actual like Dustin's channel. I don't know
yeah,
if that'll happen for you, I'm just saying as an example, I've seen that happen.
yeah. So I mean, at keto simple with no space should pull it right up because that's the actual. I changed that whenever as soon as they started implementing the at and then the channel name.
Yeah,
You
which
had to
was
go in and
recent,
choose it.
wasn't it? Like,
Hmm?
within the last year or 2, they started doing that?
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
remember you used to have at least 100 subscribers to even pick a channel name,
Oh, yeah.
and they've done away with that.
Oh,
And then
it's I
I
see.
will put her channel in here. I will put her channel in my chat so people can see it.
Yeah, while he's doing
Her
that,
channel.
I'm gonna scroll through the chat here, make sure.
That I just put the
Antithetic
link for yours in there.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm at former fat girl is the at thing. Antithetic Coach Bronson, I don't know what that means.
What is it now?
At 9:27, well, my time, I don't know what time it is there.
We're on
Antithetic
the East Coast.
Coach Bronson oh, you're East Coast? I don't know.
Mhm.
Parts of
I'm like,
Florida's on East Coast, but part of Florida is Central Time Zone, so I don't even try to guess what people are.
I think basically just like Pensacola.
Yeah, that's where
So
my
that's just
husband's
like
boss
basically
is.
what attaches to Alabama
Yeah, and
because
that's
Alabama is
Central.
Central Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But part of Indiana, like the northern part towards Chicago, is on Central Time. So that if you the closer you get to Chicago, the more chance you're going to be on Chicago time.
Yeah,
But you know, I'm on Central Indiana, so I'm in line with Kentucky, and so we're all on Eastern time.
gotcha. Oh, so Coach Bronson oh, it was a conference in Maryland last year, it was in July. Yeah,
Yeah, the
Coach
Antithetic
Bronson
Conference.
yeah, Coach Bronson and Coach Nat, like, my husband and I did brunch with them because we're literally neighbors, we didn't it was a small world. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't think he's doing it this year. I think he told us that he used to do, conferences and stuff, but I don't know that he's doing that much anymore. I know he's promoting his new books and all that stuff, but yeah, unfortunately, I didn't know about them when they were still doing the conferences and all that.
Yeah, so even Stephanie, which is Exposing Darkness, says that she's in Indiana on Central Time because she's up by Chicago.
Yeah, it's just confusing these time zones. I don't even try to guess because there's parts of states that are Eastern and other parts are Central, and just gets confusing for me. And plus, I don't know where anything is.
Well, Indiana used to be it used to be Indiana and Arizona. We didn't change. So it'd be like confusing for us when we would travel.
Oh, with the
Like,
time zones? You mean
yeah,
or
so
with the time change?
yeah, so when it would change, so half the year we were in line with Eastern, and the other half we were in line
Oh,
with Central. So like if when there was a time change, so like we were like, are we earlier or later than
yeah,
Cincinnati? Or are we if we were going to Cincinnati for a show, we'd have to look up, or we are going to Chicago, we'd have to look it up. Like, are we on the same time? What time is it there?
yeah,
Yeah, now then about I don't know, it's been about 10 well, it's been more like 15 years now, I think. Now we change and we're Eastern time. So
oh, see, I thought they were doing away with the time change stuff. They were, like, talking about it, and then they said, "Yeah, no more time change," and now we're still time changing. So, like, Jonathan Carnivore Muscle over in the UK, we collab a lot, and he was 5 hours ahead, so we had to work out the timing, and now he's 4 hours ahead, so I'm just like it just really gets confusing because most of us creators live in different parts of the world, different parts of the United States, so kind of trying to sync up our time zones, gets pretty confusing when we go through a time change.
I really so Laura's talking about that the high population density where she is, and the same thing with Rick. So like in the DC,
Mhm.
Maryland area, there's not anything, and he says down in Miami there's not anything. And I
Yeah.
think it just comes down to where are there people willing to put the I mean, I know there's Orlando, there's a low carb Orlando.
There is. Yeah, they do that every year.
So I know that's
That
like
one's expensive. I looked into that. That's more expensive than Austin. The low carb Orlando's, it's pretty expensive.
yeah. And I mean a lot of those things then you're factoring in the price of travel,
Right.
hotel stay,
Yep.
all that stuff like that's where it really becomes cost prohibitive. Like I even thought about with Keto Palooza driving home every night. That's 2 hours there and
Damn.
then 2 hours back. So I was like, that's not gonna make sense.
Yeah.
But then like the hotel still cost me like $600.
That's crazy.
So 3 nights or it was 2 nights last year. It'll be 3 nights this year. So I'm gonna be splitting it this year with somebody, and then but parking's gonna be $100.
Yeah, that's crazy that they don't give you the deal on parking anymore.
No, and I mean that's
Yeah.
the weird thing, like with the not. It's like you're staying in the hotel. You would think that parking would be free, but they find more ways. Like that's
Yep.
like the thing, like in Las Vegas, they charge you like, and I'm sure there's probably something at the Galt House too. Like the what do they call it? In Vegas, you have fees, so like it'll be like $59 a night, but then there's the resort fee will be like
Oh,
50
yeah.
bucks or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
really like $120 a night. And then there's parking unless you're like a specific tier member or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of the way that things are going, and just eventually it'll kind of pop back to free. They'll start utilizing free parking as an incentive, but we'll see.
I mean, yeah, I feel like the cost of everything is, like, high, which is unfortunate. But Carrie said, I believe her daughter and her will go to low carb for better health again this year, and she saw you, Dustin, there last year.
I had a lot of fun last year. I got a chance to actually have a brief conversation with Dr. Westman,
I
and
love
he was super
Dr.
nice.
Westman. I feel like him, and I have a newfound I've been watching a lot of Sean Baker a lot too. I feel like they're the most practical, of the people I follow out of this space. Like, they're very not very dogmatic, they're very practical and in their advice and in their viewpoints, but Dr. Westman, I love Dr. Westman. He's like the most even-keeled,
Yeah.
doctor, in my opinion, in the space on YouTube.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like Sean Baker is in practicality a great
Mhm.
example
Yeah,
of carnivore.
yeah.
But I follow him on Twitter and on Instagram, and I know he goes for the sensationalism.
Oh, yeah, he says his
And
social media is for entertainment purposes only.
I just sometimes I think there's kind of like it sends the wrong message sometimes, I think. And I understand because I've asked him about it before, and he's like, it drives like engagement and it drives people to ask more questions. And
Yeah.
I understand that, but at the same time, I mean, that's obviously why he's probably more popular than I am. But I try to do that, but and not have the negative connotivity, I guess. But like, I don't know. I just don't want the drama.
It's you have to, like, draw people's attention, which, just coming on and being a talking head doesn't capture people's attention for long, which is
I know.
unfortunate, so you have to kind of do wacky things, and I think that's why Sean Baker does the wacky things because it keeps people watching. Dr. Westman, yeah, I find him, he's not wacky, he's not I mean, he doesn't really crack jokes or he just puts the information out there, but there's something about him that just keeps people
He has a
watching.
dry humor to him too.
Yeah, but he keeps people watching and he doesn't have to go to certain lengths to do that, and I can't put my finger on what it is, like, because yeah, it's just he's different than the rest, I think, but yeah, I really like him, but yeah, he for whatever reason, people are drawn to him, and he doesn't have to do anything but come on and just talk.
He reminds me of like a pediatrician.
Yeah, or
You
Mister
know,
Rogers.
yeah, he's like, "Hey guys,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about low carb."
And
You
then
know?
people were like, "Ooh."
Oh, yeah. I mean, even his talk was fun, and
Yeah.
then, like, I mean, he is a funny guy, because he was talking about him and Dr. Barry wearing the same shoes, and I was like, "Well, you go on first, so he'll have to change."
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
is he
yeah.
gonna be what event does he do, Dr. Westman?
I don't know if he does an event, but he appears at events. So he was at Low
Well,
Carb for
that's what
Better
I
Health.
mean.
Yeah, I don't know what his schedule is. I've tried to get him on on here,
Me
and I
too, I
emailed him.
email, but I think he has a team and it goes into the void.
Yeah, that's what I
Yep.
mean. I need to see if I can hit him up on Twitter or whatever. Like I have a lot of like Twitter is my best like best way to get a hold of people because I have a lot of people who follow me on Twitter, which helps. Otherwise, if they don't follow you, you really can't message them.
Oh.
And then I also pay for the check mark.
Oh, see, I'm not on X or the
Yeah,
TikTok or any of
I'm
that.
on all of them because I
Are
kind of
you?
feel that, like, yeah, I'm on everything basically because I think doing this, I don't really put a lot of effort into TikTok, but X is a good way to kind of interact. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm even streaming there right now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah,
Is TikTok banned? I thought they were trying to
no.
ban TikTok or something.
Well, it's a political move. It has nothing to do
Oh,
with
yeah.
TikTok
No,
itself.
100%.
Now they're gonna try. They still has to go through the House, I think.
Okay.
And if the measure passes the House and then the president signs it, basically what it is, it's an ultimatum to the company who owns TikTok that
Like
they have
dance
to
or
sell
whatever?
TikTok or they get banned in the United States. So they
Gotcha.
have to sell it to an American company or they get banned, which doesn't make any sense. But people are like, I don't like TikTok. Well, TikTok probably isn't for you then. And if you don't like your kids being on TikTok, well, take control of your kid's phone and don't let them be on TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the parent, right? I mean, that's how I look at it. Like, I had a discussion the other day about there's episodes of Bluey that aren't on Disney Plus because they deem them inappropriate.
Huh.
And I was like one was about, as I mean, if you're familiar with the show Bluey, it's
No.
about two parents have, the mom and dad have two girls, and basically everything they do is all these elaborate games. So they're always playing some elaborate game. And one of the games that the dad plays in an episode that you can't watch here in the States is where it's a game where he's like got this like harness thing on and he's pregnant with his daughter. So it's obviously not real. He's pretending she's still 3 or however she is. And, and then that goes into the whole thing like, he gives birth to her and he's holding her and all that stuff. But it's just all make believe. It's like I have a 5-year-old granddaughter, and she has 5 kids a day. Every day she's over here, she's like, "Oh, these are my new kids," and they're like her puppy dogs or her stuffed animals. These are my new kids because she knows that she came from her. She knows she came from her mom. She doesn't know the graphic details, but she understands that she came from her mom. I mean, and so there's the kids imitate life. So my thing is whether or not you deem that show to be appropriate is up to you for your child. And I don't
Yeah.
think that streaming services and all these things should be telling like banning things because they deem it inappropriate. It should be the parent. Like, is that episode maybe appropriate for a 3-year-old? Maybe not. But that's up to you
Right.
or the parent, right? And that's my thing is I just think whether TikTok is appropriate or not. I mean, TikTok is a dopamine rush. It's the same thing as Candy Crush or whatever. And
Yeah. Laura brought up a good point while you were chatting about meat at schools. It's like one of the last comments she said that the DMV has a lot of anti-meat people. I approached the director at UMD College Park to ask about the availability of ruminant meat in the dining hall, and he was initially defensive. So the schools have to follow the guidelines. If they're if they're public schools, they have to follow the guidelines. If you're private schools, then that's a different thing. But they have to follow the stupid my plate thing and all that stuff. But DC is one of the places where lab grown meat, like taking cells from chickens and making it meat in a lab. They're actually doing that at least one or two restaurants in the DC area, and then places in California. And I don't know if they added other states, but we were one of the first places to where restaurants are FDA approved to sell lab grown meat as part of their menu. So it's kind of not shocking if we're moving the lab grown meat route.
I just think it's so early in that, and I think that unfortunately, I think there'll be a market for it, but it's also one of the things like the sky isn't falling at the same time. I think it's such a new thing that I think eventually they're going to realize that it's probably too expensive or not sustainable, and they'll probably drop it. Because I
Yeah.
also think if people vote with their wallets, it's easy. So if like you can say, I don't want my kids to eat lab grown meat,
Yeah.
or my kids have an allergy to this, or whatever. Um, I mean, obviously, that's the same thing. Like if you don't want to buy Walmart meat, you don't buy Walmart meat. You go and you can go to a butcher, or you can go to you basically choose with your wallet. That's the same thing with like cricket flour. And people say it's in all this stuff. I'm like, I've never looked at an ingredient list and seen cricket flour in something.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's not out there, but I
I
mean,
I mean, this can be a topic for another conversation, but
yeah.
are vegans going to eat lab grown meat? Because technically it's not vegan because it's coming from chicken. Chicken cells, it's still an animal. So I'm curious what's going to happen with that if these vegans are going to start eating lab grown meat now as their meat alternatives.
Well, and I think Danny has a question here. I think it was like, do they have to tell you? I think initially
Oh,
they're going to use it as a selling point. I think it'll be like, this is lab grown meat, super
yeah.
healthy, low cholesterol. And you'll be like, well, not for me. Just like they're, as far as we know, they're not trying to pawn off the meatless meat as meat. Even
Yeah.
though I think there is some meat in some of the meatless meat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only chicken for now. They haven't been approved for beef or anything else. They were only approved for chicken to start.
Yeah, and I think so. It's like I remember I was watching Bizarre Foods with my grandma one night, and they were walking through some jungle and they were like picking up grubs and all this, that, and the other. She's like, I can't believe they're gonna feed that to their children. And I'm like, did you see a Meyer? Did you see a Walmart? Did they pass a McDonald's?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I have a much more laid back approach to that stuff. I think we get so up in arms about something that's such a small, like I understand that it can be a big thing. And I think right now we're doing things because we can, not because we should. And I don't necessarily think it's going to be an issue. I mean, I could very well be wrong, but I don't think it's like the meatless meat is such a like. There's what at like the grocery stores. It's a little bitty section like this big,
Yeah.
and it's been that way since it started, and it hasn't really grown. I
Yeah.
think it actually the sections used to be bigger and have shrunk because it's just the people who are willing to pay the money for it or like it is such a small niche that it's not an issue. Like, I don't care that there's meatless meat because there's a demographic of people who want to buy it. Let them buy it.
Mhm.
They're looking at the ingredients just like everybody else. If
Yeah.
they deem that that's okay for themselves, and that's not up to me to decide. Just like I don't want someone to decide what I should be eating. So I don't know. Like, like cricket flour and stuff like that doesn't bother me. I'm like, I mean, I would rather them use cricket flour over soy, something like some kind of soy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we put the cart before the horse a lot. And I think we start freaking out. I think we would do better to not freak out
Yeah.
and just kind of go, well, let's see where this goes. And I know that's not human nature. Um, but yeah, maybe I probably have an unpopular opinion, but
Yeah.
I'm just not afraid of it.
Yeah.
Like, like I'm not afraid of AI. I'm not afraid of all these things. I mean, I'm curious and I'm mindful of all these things that are happening, but I'm not like everything's we're gonna be forced to eat lab grown meat. Because there was a show that we watched back years ago. It was called Better Off Ted.
Oh, I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
And it was like only a 2 or 3 season show or whatever. And but they worked in like this laboratory, this company that made products, but they weren't ethical at all about this stuff. And they were making lab grown meat and they were having people test it. And they're like, what does it taste like? He goes, it tastes like sadness.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not looking, like the 3D printed meat is one thing that's probably more scary to me than lab grown meat. Because I mean,
Agreed.
but I don't know. You know, I don't know. And it was let's see. Laura says the dining hall promotes veggies because college students tend or trend that way. Although they offer protein choices as well, students, especially female in their 20s, tend to lean towards plant-based. Even like my granddaughter, like she goes through even at 5 years old, and there's no outside interference with her to not eat meat. There's nobody in her ear going, you shouldn't eat meat. She just some days she'll eat it, and some days she's like, nope, I just want the bread. Or I just
Yeah.
want the cheese. And I know there is a lot of I would say people that I can't even say women because I know there's a lot of men out there who do the same thing. But there's a lot of people out there who still are so hung up on that low fat train, the low fat thing that they can't get their mind around meat being okay and all that stuff.
Right.
So it's only gonna get worse, so to speak. I mean, you've seen the things going around where the ADA lady was saying, you need to eat more bread.
Oh, yeah.
Like, really? Read the room.
Telling you. But I'm gonna have to hop off soon because our dishwasher
Sure.
guy's gonna be here in like 10 minutes.
Okay, sure.
And
Anything you
hopefully
want to
not make
plug?
me the dishwasher anymore.
Anything you want to plug before we go?
No, well, Monday Night Lives, I feel like it's wrestling Monday Night Live. Monday Night Live, 6 PM Eastern Standard Time. I go live every Monday. I think this week I'll be live again with my fellow Jersey girl, Erin. And then Friday, I'm linking up with Dave, No Carb Life, once again, and we're going to have a chit chat and possibly do a live reaction together. So, yeah, so stay tuned for that if you're available Friday night at 7 PM Eastern Standard Time.
Well, thank you so very much for being here, Nicole. It's always a pleasure to get a chance to talk to you. We've done multiple lives before,
Yeah.
and you're a lot of fun to talk to. And I want to thank everybody in the chat, everybody who has hung out with us. There was like at some point 60 of you guys all
Oh,
chatting together.
damn. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Across
60
the
people?
different platforms, about 62 to 65 people
Wow.
across all the platforms, but we're running like on 2 YouTube channels, Facebook and Twitter. So I just want to say thanks to all of you, the new people who have come in and said hello. Hopefully you will think about subscribing to me. And anybody who's watching Nicole for the first time, you will subscribe to her. And I want to say thank you to all my wonderful members. Thank you so very much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And with that, have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday, everybody.